God created us with desires. Those desires are good. And God created us with desires before sin entered the world. When sin entered the world, every part of us got affected by sin. It's called total depravity. And the idea is that every part of creation and every part of our person is affected by sin. It doesn't mean we're as bad as we could be, but that we're all affected. So our normal desires for food, now we want more, Our normal desires for relationships with people, everything becomes distorted. And so the desire for our basic needs to be met then becomes distorted into riches. And notice what it says, that those who want to get rich, what happens to them? It says, they fall into temptation. Because they want to get rich, they fall into temptation and a snare. They get trapped and they fall into many foolish and harmful desires. So, there are what I would consider or call first level desires that are basic desires God created us with, although those desires are distorted. But when we fulfill those desires in a sinful way, it leads to sinful and harmful desires that in and of themselves are sinful. And so it's one of the deceptive things of sin, that sin, when we give ourselves over to sin, in this case the desire to get rich, then that produces secondary level desires that are in and of themselves sinful. And so this is significant, because it says Jesus was tempted in all ways as we are. And so Jesus had the desires that God created Adam and Eve with, but His desires were pure because they weren't distorted. And, people sometimes say, well, did Jesus have a desire for sexual perversion? The answer is no. Because His desires, He did not fulfill His desires in a sinful way, and those desires are perverted desires that are the result of fulfilling God-given desires in a wrong way. Okay, anyway, so he contrasts here, and if we had time, we could go down and look at the instructions to those who are rich. They're to put their trust in God, not in riches. It's not a sin to be rich. It's not a sin to have an abundance. But it's a sin to trust in your riches. And it's a sin to pursue riches as a means and goal to replace God. Verse 18, we're to be rich in good works, generous and ready to share.